Welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast, and today's co-host is Julian. Kind of missed that one a little bit. I was a little sick last week, but that's probably why.
Your voice sounds really smooth, though.
Yeah.
Like you sound more like a radio DJ than anything.
Oh damn, man! I appreciate it, brother.
That was nice. That was nice and smooth.
I'll be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What you got?
Yeah.
On the line?
You cool cats and kittens, little p***s. Okay.
But yeah, how you doing, man? We got a lot to talk about.
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Yeah, we a lot of news kind of came up overnight.
Yeah.
That's the way these things go. Sometimes we have a week's worth of news that's spread out over the entire week, and we sort of have to like cut things, and things can things stay or go. But then today everything just kind of popped up all at once.
Yeah, United are City curious about Jeremy Frimpong, and if you know Frimpong, he's been killing it this season. He's playing amazing right now. And what do you think? And where will he fit in both of those? I think in United he will fit well,
especially with Rashford possibly being out the door, with PSG looking at him. I don't know if PSG is the best place for Rashford.
You know what?
But we're not talking about him right now, so
yeah. In a sense, I kind of think that a revamp going in a club like that, having a new challenge,
it could work. Yeah,
it could work for him.
But I mean, if there's going to be more free space in that forward opposite Garnacho, and maybe working alongside Højlund, who's in the middle, I can see that. I mean, he's working very well in a high functioning side. But again, the problem with United is not just the forwards. There's a lot going on in the midfield as well. And will he be able to play at that level without the same kind of service that he is getting from a very good midfield in Bayer Leverkusen? That I don't know. With City, I mean, hell, man, they never properly replaced Riyad Mahrez, even though Frimpong is a right-footed player, I believe. But also, Jeremy Doku is not exactly hitting in stride right now. So we can't pretend that the forward section of the Manchester City squad is playing as well as they have in the last five years or so. So I see them really trying to get a lot of people to fix these quick problems, offloading some guys and then bringing in some answers, because they don't really have a lot of guys that are firing on all cylinders right now. And that kind of segues into City being interested in Lucas Paquetá as well in the midfield, and that makes sense to me. To end up replacing Kovacic, who has not had a bad season by any means, but he has not been on the same level of Rodri or De Bruyne, nor is he expected to be, because he's just not that kind of that level of a player. But Paquetá could be. You don't know.
At least trying to prepare events that if Haaland end up just giving you guys or giving City another season or one extra season or two, or just leaving, you want to make sure you have already someone that's been in the rotation, that knows how to play, that knows the system, that will be able to just get failing without the public noticing, the general consensus noticing that there's something lacking in the midfield. So that seems reasonable to me. How about this Calvin Phillips stuff?
We're just staying in Manchester City land real quick. Him moving back to Leeds potentially if they get promoted? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, look, like, he played well enough at Leeds to get a Manchester City contract. He shows that he has the motivation to play in that high energy style that Leeds are used to. But once he got to the to the big leagues, he wasn't really willing to train that much. And someone said, I agree with that. And someone said that Guardiola misspoke about Phillips' training ethic not being excellent. But it wouldn't be the first time that someone shows up to a high-profile club known for their work rate and then subtly just kind of cools off a little bit and doesn't hit the brake, the gas as much as they should.
It kind of makes sense, but that move is not. I mean, I see it happening too, because that's his club. Let's see what happens during the summer. I bet the summer will be a little crazy. Chelsea wants to sell Conor Gallagher in the summer. I guess I think they want to offload a lot of players actually too. Especially
they have to.
I know,
like they legally have to.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are the two that they should offload the first. That's just me, but
Gallagher is good for them though. I don't know if offloading him. It's a smart play.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? not only in what he means to the club, but also like the play style. He reminds me of Scott McTominay. Like not the most technically sound, not always the best decision maker. You can tell that he sort of gets a little overwhelmed in big matchups. Like you can kind of look at him and be like, I know that you don't exactly know what you're doing right now, but you're working hard. Now, I think that Scott McTominay has a little bit more of that in him than Gallagher. I think that Gallagher's a better player overall. But he's been in good form toward here recently. Yeah. At the start of the season, if they had said that he should have been one of the first offloaded, I would have been inclined to agree with you. Yeah. And Reece James makes a lot of sense because of the injury track record. Yeah, I mean, you can't keep spending money on him to sit on the bench. But the Conor Gallagher one's interesting to me. I would have held on to him a little bit more to sort of pick up, because that's what he's been doing. He's been picking up the slack of Caicedo and Fernandez when they're not playing their best either. Even though individually they're probably better players than him, he seems to just have a little bit more of a mid-level quality that keeps both of them from falling too far downward, because they have that in them. I mean, they have a lot of issues, Chelsea, in terms of who should stay, who should go, why all these people were brought in the first place. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on that I think is very curious, and that's what happens when you have a sporting director, an owner that really doesn't know that much of what they're doing in the process.
Yeah, I can get behind that idea. Yeah. And on the other side, we got Ivan Toney. Always talking about these guys for some reason. West Ham wants Ivan Toney. Do you think that's a good move? That's a good move for him as a player, and also as a system. Is that a good system for him?
It's a good move for West Ham, regardless.
I guess,
but I don't know if that's. When did that conversation start happening? Like when? It must have been in the last month and a half or so, maybe like the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Where Ivan Toney is less being discussed for Arsenal, for Barcelona. Like, why is he now at West Ham's level?
Yeah.
This kind of comes out of nowhere to me. Don't get me wrong, Brentford have not been playing that well lately. What was it? I think they've had like a total of like 7 points in their last potential 45 or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he himself is part of the reason he is not playing his best. But is he playing at a poor enough level, with all due respect, to be sent sideways almost? He's not getting a transfer that's promoting him.
Mm-hmm.
West Ham is just slightly above Brentford's level. And again, I mean that respectfully, but like, I don't know, like, do you feel like he should be talked about with those kinds of clubs? Or what happened?
Yeah.
He should still be at the level. And honestly, he could be someone that when Victor Osimhen leaves Napoli, he could go to Napoli. But like, I don't know. I don't know when the step down for him really took place.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I always thought he had more to offer in his career, because that's kind of like a step backwards. But he's like, what, 20? He's 28, right?
27, 28.
27, 28. But he still got it though.
Yeah, like, his run of questionable form, like I said, has only been like a couple of months. Is that enough to completely derail transfer rumors that have happened for almost 2 seasons now? I don't get it.
That's football for you, man. Like, one day you could be there, and the next day you could. I think the fact that he also did a long time without playing.
But he came back and looked okay. I mean, I agree. Like,
kind of devalued his stock.
That long out of competition, that hurts everybody.
But he's playing good. If you watch Brentford United, oh man, he killed them. Yeah, he had a lot of good plays. I mean, I think he's still. I mean, I think he's the guy. I think he has the potential to play at a higher level. Granted, he gets the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it's a very reactionary thing to say. Well, 2 months of lackluster form with, 2 or 3 seasons of proof that he's capable of these things. For those couple of months to take away the opportunities that I think he's earned overall. It's a bit silly to me, but you said it. I mean, whether it's good or bad, that's the quickness that these leagues have to operate at if they're gonna keep fluid.
Ancelotti not worry about. Well, let's go to Madrid. Ancelotti not worry about. What if Vinicius were to go somewhere else? To be honest, it's crazy. I think throughout history, or probably throughout the history of football, I've never seen a club that has more potential A-list footballers than Madrid at this set time. Like you've seen clubs having that, of course, but I'm talking about the abundance. Like everyone that they have now and people that are coming are just there. And it poses the question is, that's why you need a strong character manager. Because this project could fail. I'm talking about completely trash. Or B, this project could be the most lucrative. I'm talking about the most dangerous team, or at least offensive team. I mean, we had the BBC, we had the MSN, but we had the BBC, but we didn't have a transitional player. So we have a three forwards, but we didn't have three forwards and a line which will be your 8 or midfield or force 8 or force 9, whatever you want to call it. But I'm talking like the whole offense from the midfield to up there. It's a crazy one. Now, in terms of just talent, there's a lot. So it poses the question, who will be happy with how things will go next season. So 24-25 will be really interesting just to see who will be at Madrid finally, and who will make it and who won't make it, and how the dynamics will be.
I think we talked about someone that's likely to go, whether or not Madrid can still use them properly. I think Tchouaméni is going to find success somewhere else.
Tchouaméni, regardless, to be honest, if I was a midfielder at this point in Madrid, if I was Tchouaméni or Camavinga, both of us, if there was like one option out of the gate, I would take it. Not because Madrid is not a great club, but because the rotation might affect my stock or my legacy that I'm trying to build. Because you have so much potential, but that might, you
want to be a definitive starter.
Yes.
And they have so many players, and I feel like even most of the Real Madrid bench would walk on to a lot of sides and start.
Yes.
That's how abundant they are right now. But I mean, like you want to play at a great club, but you also want to be
the guy.
Everyone in your position.
Everyone wants to be a definite starter. And if you're thinking about legacy, trophies, accolades, you cannot essentially be a rotational guy.
Well, and I think that part of the reason that Real Madrid has done this is because, I mean, and again, very, very well-run organization. I mean, the accolades and trophies alone suggest that, I mean, they're the most well-run club in the world. They can't not be. You can have clubs like, maybe you could look at Brighton from 3 years ago, that like for who they are, for what is expected of them, they might have been a hotter club by being able to turn $100 million deal after $100 million deal and stay in Europe, in European competition talk. But I mean, they've done the right thing when they were phasing out players in Real Madrid, where they've kind of overloaded purposefully to where you have talented players and everyone's willing to fight for their spot. But once the transition is kind of rounding completion, certain people have to go. You've kind of overloaded this field so that you can see who's going to sink and swim in this rotation style. But once Modric isn't there, once Cruz isn't there, you're asking the questions now, like who's going to start first, Tchouaméni or Camavinga? And they're kind of proving that it looks like Camavinga's the starter of that one. So Tchouaméni might go when everyone else goes as well, so that someone else can come in and be the dedicated substitute, because Tchouaméni probably doesn't want to do that.
I'm wondering if Ancelotti is thinking about, hey, Modric is going, we got Kroos will now be a rotational guy, then I will have Tchouaméni back in my center, and Camavinga and Valverde, then I start rotating. We got the kid Brahim Diaz, so I'm thinking either that's probably what he's thinking, but if that's the case, it means the next year when Kroos goes, then you got 3 definitives, that Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. Now, if that's the thing,
you just hope that all 3 of them want to stay along.
Because they are playing Madrid, they are playing at a great club, biggest club. They're playing very well. It means the stocks are going high too. It means some clubs might want to approach them and be like, hey, instead of rotating, you could be the main guy at Chelsea. You could be the main guy at City.
I see that happening for Brahim Diaz, actually.
Because
I see Brahim Diaz as a true replacement for Riyad Mahrez,
who
City never really got.
Actually, he has the style of play, so I think if he plays City and playing that high, he probably right wing.
Yep.
He could potentially, because if Brahim Diaz is thinking about being like a regular starter with the way Madrid is doing things, then I don't see him having a definite position.
Yeah, well, because they're running a 2-man front instead of a 3-man front,
Yeah.
and the statistics just show. I mean, especially if Mbappe comes in. If Mbappe comes in, it's going to be hard for you to not say, if there's only 2 forwards at this moment, that it's Mbappe and Rodrigo that start. So even Vinicius Jr. is sitting on the sideline going, what is going on with this system? Because, I mean, when what was it when it was Benzema, Ronaldo, and Bale in that 3-man front, like they were really successful then. So like, I'm not saying the 2-man front's not working, because it's Real Madrid, it's Carlo Ancelotti, and I mean they're gonna win the league, and they're probably second favorites to win the Champions League still, even though they're not playing as well as they're expected to. The 2-man front's working for them, so why not?
I think the
keep
reason,
going?
I think the reason of him being the reason that he does that is just because it probably works best for them, given the talent they have. Because actually, I think having a 2-man front and having then Vinicius can still have his position, because now because Vinicius is in a sense, he's a true winger, like he's a pure winger.
Yeah.
So he can have that left side by himself if Mbappe is playing just above him. And Rodrigo.
But then they're also having to keep that 2-man front a lot, so they can make sure that Bellingham is close behind them. Because because him as a center forward does not work, but him as an attacking midfielder with 2 front options, that seems to be what does well for them.
Like Rodrigo, Mbappe, Rodrigo,
and then Bellingham. Yeah.
Then you have Vinicius and Brahim Diaz. Then that can work. Yeah. But I don't know if that's what Ancelotti is going for, because that can work. Then that's actually a killer team. I could be a trainer, because then I can just get in there and have Tchouaméni or Camavinga here, or whoever, Whatever.
Would you just do like a 3-man back? Because then otherwise they might get a little congested in the midfield.
That's probably what you want too.
They have so many options. That's the thing.
They can run every. That's probably why some games, because some games we're probably gonna talk about this, but some games they play like they don't want to play.
They look much better than others in some. Because they're playing different guys in different positions with different tactics. Like that's what I was kind of saying in the beginning of this. They have so many options, and they probably have one more season of this transitional thing that they're doing, where everyone's kind of always doing something different. They look better and worse some days, but they're rounding it out, but before they're starting to have to hit the chopping block and make certain decisions.
If things works for them and they get to the point where they hit the prime of the team as a whole, just as like 15, 16, 17 Madrid, or like the 19 Liverpool, their run could be the craziest run ever. I can't say ever, but it could last for a long time.
Especially with Davies on the left.
We forgot about that.
Eder Militao coming back in finally. Maybe they have someone else that comes in that relieves Rudiger, who's not the healthiest person in the world, but he's also not injury prone. And then speaking of injury prone, you might have a Trent Alexander-Arnold coming on the right.
Well, he could last at Madrid, in Spain they slow down the ball.
He could. Yeah.
Liverpool interested in Frankfurt Omar Mamouche. And is there anyone at a proven high level that could replace Salah? Yeah, that's the problem. Or does a player have to come up the way this Salah did?
I think more of that.
Before I can let you speak, I watched the game. It's kind of apparent that Salah probably got 1 or 2 good years playing. Because there's some time he was too slow, like he ran out of steam. And you could feel it, because it's also probably age. Probably he's also getting there. Not a lot of players playing at his position, and as a winger will last with that pace, unless you become a Messi or technical. And then adjust your style of play.
And he's the only remainder from that front 3 from when they were absolutely destroying everybody. Let's face it, Luis Diaz is not Sadio Mane. Darwin Núñez is not Roberto Firmino, and you don't realize how much those guys do to keep that back line trepidatious and allow Salah to come in over the top. Like right at this moment, you're able to isolate Salah. because the other two don't have the same level of talent, of precision that Mane and Firmino had. You know what I'm saying? There was a point where all three of those guys were equally lethal. So if you gravitate toward one, the other one steps in, blah blah, and it just kind of keeps going. They don't have that same lethality across the entire front. Now I do agree with you though. He does look a little more burnt out at times. Mm-hmm. He has lost that little extra bit of pace that he required. But the other two are they're not performing at the same level that he was that was expected from that front three when they were the best team in the world. So
it's kind of a both. But I definitely see either him staying for one season or him being replaced because time is up. Yeah.
So, whether or not it's the fact that the entire front three are not as good as what it was 4 years ago doesn't change the fact that he is getting older, that he is not as good as he used to be. Like, that's an irrefutable fact.
Yeah.
But I do think that he would be performing better now if they had a better center forward that could distract and hold up the ball and lay it off for him. Because that's all that Firmino did, man.
Yeah.
He was like a false nine. He would turn his back to goal and he'd lay it off for Salah, who was able to use that extra bit of pace to get behind that back line at the exact time for the run. Nunez doesn't do that. So, I get it. He's not getting the exact same service that he had at that time either. Yeah. But what about Barcelona's bitch ass trying to apologize to Xavi?
Well, what Rafa used, the vice president said, I'm going to try to convince Xavi, but it's a personal decision for him. That there are still league games left, the Champions League. We have to let him enjoy it. I hope and wish that he continues because we are talking about a project, not a season or two. Now, if that's the case, but I don't think he's actually going because of Barcelona. I think it's the media. I think the pressure is coming from outside, especially when you are in La Liga and the two biggest clubs that kind of are in the face of the world, how represent La Liga as a whole or as a Spanish club is Barcelona, Madrid. You don't have that leeway to mess up. That's just what I'm thinking. Yeah. So probably that's the case. But
although he did say that the club was kind of disrespectful to him in the process as well.
I didn't hear that. That changes stuff then.
That was like a couple months ago. Like when he had made up the decision to leave, it wasn't just because of the media. And we've had that conversation too. The Spanish media will just
I know we had that.
Barcelona and Madrid are not perfect.
If the club was also in cahoots with the media, then something has got to be done.
It's sort of that situation where the club is trying to apologize for a little bit for how they allowed certain things to be said about Xavi and not come to his defense. And he did feel somewhat betrayed by the organization, which, I mean, that can be repaired, especially with his history with the club in general. It's not that it's just
that's different.
A stranger coming in for a job and being disrespected. Like, there is a long history with Xavi in Barcelona. So that can be repaired, I think.
So that's a different thing.
It's like repairing things with your wife as opposed to repairing things with the girl that you've known for 3 months. You're more willing to let the 3-month lady go, with all due respect. We don't have that history, but you have the history, it matters.
So you're advocating for cheating in a sense. Because if you have a wife and 3 girlfriends on the side.
No, but the longer the relationship, the more is at stake and the more that you're willing to compromise and change things around.
So Neymar was, and this is just a rumor from Santos, and I think he was there. He saw Santos playing Palmeiras, so I forgot the club that the new kid that's gonna go to Madrid next season is playing ahead. He watched the game and they lost, and Neymar grew up. He was brought up by Santos. Santos is boys' club, so this is just a rumor that he said to the people in the locker room that he's gonna be back.
Good for him.
I mean, if he's back, good for him. He's just giving back to his community, to the club that raised him. So it's good. And Santos not been doing well, so they might rise from their ashes or something like that.
Maybe.
Match recap.
Just hold on, really fast. It's so sad to me that the news for the last 2 years or so involving Neymar just doesn't fucking matter. With all due respect, like we should be taught. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, that doesn't matter. Whether he goes to Santos or not. Now that he's in Saudi Arabia, just like anything can happen with him and it just doesn't matter. Whereas, at least when he was at PSG, even if he wasn't playing as well as he was expected to, or
Well,
the club wasn't performing as well. They were expecting, like, he was make or break news. Yeah. Whereas now his name in the headlines doesn't make a difference at all.
Yeah. Well, when he showed up a little big at I forgot the club he plays for in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. That's part of what I'm saying. Yeah. we forget what fucking team he plays for.
So yeah. If you watch the games this weekend, you had.
I didn't watch a single game this week. I'm kidding.
If you did, you had so much fun because the game was everywhere. I mean, you had games in Bundesliga. You had games in French. Even French had Classic, and something crazy happened. You had games in the Premier League, and you had games in La Liga. I mean, if you just wanted to chill, drink some beer, enjoy the game, you had it going for you. If you're a football fan, of course. I'm talking about real football, soccer, as you guys say. Yeah. But I'm talking about real football. I ain't talking about no American football.
So, one thing on that, actually, my little brother plays football, soccer, whatever. And because of that and my interest in the sport, like, I slowly got my grandpa involved with it.
Yeah.
And so he is, he actually has a team that he supports. He watches games on his own. We'll talk about them. But he asked me a question. He's like, "Do you call it football or soccer?" And I said, "It depends on where I am, and more importantly, who I'm talking to."
Yeah.
And I use this podcast as an example. When I'm on this podcast, I say football.
Yeah.
Because I assume that if you're here for this podcast, for this sport, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to be, So I in my personal life,
need to start doing that. Not trying to always say soccer. Just
I say football when I'm talking to people that I know the sport. Or know that. Me personally, like, I wouldn't be talking about American football. Like, they know this is a fact. Now, if I'm talking to a stranger or a friend or like an associate or an acquaintance that I'm not super familiar with, and they ask me, like, well, what projects are you working on? Well, this podcast is one of them. I'll say that I have a soccer podcast because they will think NFL if I say football podcast. So that's kind of like that's just something. We're doing a series in July about, like, intro to football/soccer, and I feel like the phrasing and knowing when to use certain phrases can help as well, because unfortunately in this country you can't just say football and every single person that we're talking about. But if you're in a stadium and you're talking, like, you can say football. Like, we all know, like, we're all wearing kits. We know what we're talking, like, football. I'm here for football. It's just an interesting, like,
that's true.
You switch on and off depending on who you're with.
Go get yourself some football knowledge and start watching the game, man.
Yeah, don't quit being a dumb fuck. You know what I mean? Quit being a fucking idiot.
Man, Bayern Munich lost 0-2 to Dortmund. Man, I'm telling you something. Kane could be the unluckiest player in the history of unluckiest players in the history of people.
It is interesting, and it's so funny. It's not.
How you gonna go to a club that wins every single year, or at least 10 years or 12 years in a row? You go there and they lose. How you gonna go to a club that never loses or loses to Dortmund at home, and you get there, they lost? Like, what's going on? How you gonna go to a club that you are actually producing at a higher rate than ever? I probably think than ever, because he's scoring, and you guys are still not making it. What's going on?
I mean, and like, it is funny though, because he is the league leader in goal. He scored 31 goals in German competition. The next in line has 23 goals, so he is well above everybody else in the league. But unfortunately, he still does miss a lot of chances, and the back line is nowhere near what it's supposed to be. And in these circumstances, look, actually, Erling Haaland is a good example as well. He can drop, he can drop a hat trick against Sheffield United. But when it's time to put one in to close down a Liverpool or an Arsenal, he can't quite do it. I'm not saying that Harry Kane is the exact same level or of that regard, but like 31 of these goals with a 2-0 loss against Dortmund, you couldn't have snuck 2 in. Like 2 of those 31 goals couldn't have come against your rival. So and he missed a lot of chances, and again, the defense is equally to blame, but he does rack up a lot of goals in matches that are already blowouts. But when he tends to miss a lot of chances in very important situations.
Yeah, man. And when we talk about a lot, not finishing these opportunities that he gets, it just tells you how many goals he would have had if he had finished this. He would have been doing it. I mean, 17 attempts,
yeah,
not even one in.
And no striker has a 100% finish rate, obviously, and that's what I'm saying.
They had 0 counterattacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Couldn't even catch Dortmund off guard.
He misses very important ones despite sinking a lot of them as well.
They had 9 set pieces. Dortmund had 0.
I know.
You couldn't even put one in just by magic. I'm talking about just luck, pure luck. Just hit someone and the ball hits someone in.
Well, it's hard to have good luck when you're cursed. That's what it seems like it is, man.
So this whole thing, man, and now the Bayern or the Munich management is gonna say, hey, I shouldn't have sacked Nagelsmann or whatever his name is to have Tuchel now, because look at what's happening. I mean, I'm not saying Tuchel is bad, but come on, man. Like I said, especially because these guys are not Premier League, they have clubs that have faces of their league that these clubs can go down. But actually, I would say this though. Let's just pivot to Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Leverkusen, I think what's happening this season is bringing more fans back to the Bundesliga, because now the Bundesliga is really exciting.
Well, it feels
now
like they actually
want to see what Xavi is gonna do.
Well, and like speaking of it looks like Kane has bad luck. It looks like, but it looks like Leverkusen have good luck. Like, man, they've bailed themselves out with late goals. But so many times this season.
We gotta ask Leverkusen what virgin did they sacrifice this year, because their luck is they're not running out of luck. It's unstoppable.
Yeah,
I think 9 straight games or 8 straight games where they're scoring extra time or they're winning
exactly.
games.
Like you have 23 wins, 4 draws, and 0 losses for the entire season.
Good.
And it's not that everyone they're smashing everybody. They're smashing a lot of teams. But no, you're right. Like, a lot of it is like extra time or late goals to turn a 1-1 draw into a 2-1 win.
It's just
like they have amazing luck.
Oh, they have that thing going for them. So
do you try to hold every single person, including Xabi Alonso, back together for one more season and try to do a double? Do you try?
Well, at least one thing is for sure. Xabi Alonso said he's not leaving. He just said it. Yeah. So there's no alternative for him.
So you just have to keep Victor Boniface, Frimpong, Florian Wirtz. Maybe you hope that Granit Xhaka can stay along for one more. I mean, he doesn't look tired. Fuck. Yeah. It's wild. You try to keep them all together. Could you imagine if Bayer Leverkusen won the double, if they won back-to-back seasons? That'd be insane. Because we assume
that they might die.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It'd be pretty insane. But I mean, this version of Bayer Leverkusen looks like they could be consistent enough to do that.
One thing I had wished for is this: when Dortmund did this in, I think, 13 or 12, I had wished for them to have won it that year too.
Yeah,
because they did a similar thing. But Leverkusen, and if the whole squad stays together, or even if there's new influx of new blood that are replacing the old guys that might be leaving or not, just to kind of still make the team with Xavi Alonso still coaching how he's doing this year. Man, I'm telling you, the next year will be really, really great to watch. It will be a little bit different. We don't know yet, but it will be a little bit different from Leicester City coming in one season and the next season is nowhere to be found. But I feel like this might be the next season whole. Now, when we're talking about the top 3, the top 2, the top 4, in the Bundesliga, when we're looking at the fixtures, the table, the standing, I am there. When we're talking about going in Champions League, I am there. So I become more of a staple.
They seem long term they're going to be in these European competitions now. Because for a while they were just sort of languishing away at like 8th, 9th, 10th, and they weren't getting any sort of extra competitions. It does feel like, whether they are legitimate contenders for the leagues moving forward, that they'll be either in the group stages of the Champions League, or maybe going relatively far in the Europa League, which they seem pretty set on. Although I will say, we might have to really talk about those matches. Leverkusen and West Ham United meeting in the Europa League.
That's a game we can recap on.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that West Ham are favorites. I'm not even saying that they're favorites to give them a big run, but like that's a good test for Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah. They don't have a great European experience, but neither does West Ham. But West Ham is used to playing in an overall better league, so I could see it being made very difficult for Leverkusen and sort of being a bit of a wake up as they move forward in the competition.
Yeah, that like you said, that would be a test just to exchange also like different ideas on how football is being played. Because
absolutely.
That's an English style coming up, and West Ham is a really English style in the sense. So we'll see how that works. And like I said, if you miss the game, man, you miss everything.
Don't miss a single game.
Yeah, that was for the Klassiker. In German.
Yep.
That's how you say it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Now in France or French or whatever, however you call it, we had Olympique de Marseille versus PSG. And if you don't know anything about French Ligue 1, which is called Ligue 1 Uber Eats, Olympique de Marseille.
Can't forget the Uber Eats.
Olympique de Marseille.
And aren't they potentially going to have the lead sponsor take over McDonald's? Is it going to be McDonald's next season? I thought it was McDonald's and Uber Eats are kind of battling for the number one. Each one sounds like shit. Each one sounds awful.
Each one sounds like that's how the league is.
Yeah,
McDonald's league.
Exactly. League owned McDonald's. Oh fuck, man, that'd be amazing. Anyway, but yes, big rivalry with Marseille and
if you don't know anything, Marseille is the only French club that has won the Champions League. That was Marseille back in the day, if you know Jean-Pierre Papin and all those crazy people. But the game it started out a lot. Marseille actually had a lot of opportunities, man. I'm telling you, Marseille played Paris Saint-Germain very well. Paris Saint-Germain ended up the game playing 10, and Mbappe was subbed at I think 60-some minute.
And 20 minutes later, his substitute scores the goal.
Yes.
You think that hurt his feelings a little bit?
I don't know if that hurt his feelings in a sense, but I think the whole thing that's going on right now, it is a little bit of like a drama or a fiasco in a sense, because when he was sub, I think the guy was super confused too. He was wondering what's going on. But another thing is, it's been since he announced or potentially rumors that has been jiving everywhere, from the internet to the locker rooms and to everywhere. It seems like Luis Enrique, it's been subbing him for the past I think 9 or 8 games they play. He probably just played Montpellier for full minutes, but the rest
you got to get used to time without him. So.
Yeah, the rest is just him not playing every single minute. And a lot of polemic and a lot of things came out that is there a fight in the locker room? Is this a good way or a good strategy? But I remember he said something. He's like, I want to prepare so they can know how to play without Mbappe in a sense. But how do you think about that? Especially if you're subbing. One thing that I know some people are happy about, which I can see why, is Enrique is showing how things are supposed to be run. No player is above the league, the organization, the team, which that's kind of what they've been doing, and they've been catering to Mbappe, and they created Mbappe, to be honest.
He should have been honest and just said, look guys, like in the press release after the game, there's no bad blood between anybody. He just needed a diaper change. That's all. He just he said Papa, I need a change.
Yeah.
And so his substitute comes in and does what he couldn't do for the rest of the game. It's great.
Yeah.
Good job, Mbappe.
Some claims came out that he insulted Luis Enrique when he was leaving and all that thing. But there is definitely a relationship problem between Mbappe and Enrique. There's a lot of tension, so we don't know. And if he ends up actually moving to Madrid, that's good. But if he doesn't and wants to stay, now
get out.
Now you created this whole thing, because Enrique would be right in doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But also would be wrong, because now you kind of ignited that tension in a sense. At the end of the day, Enrique, in that you are not, because there's one thing that people have to understand. I'm not advocating for that. I think at this point, there's not a lot that can be done because you created the monster. The monster is overgrown.
Yeah.
But also, if
he's eating the spaceship
if
right
that
now.
Ends up, and if he ends up staying, and there's this whole thing, you think they're gonna prioritize who? Mbappe, you know why? He's French.
Yeah.
You are not French.
It's an absolute fucking nightmare.
So, my point is, I think Mbappe gotta go because now that there's this thing coming up, I think he just gotta leave. But for me, I always said it even before when he signed the contract to PSG. I was against that because I know his potential. I know what he can do. But if he's trying, he has so much potential that he can leave a legacy and he can be considered top 10 ever.
Yeah.
If he just goes where people actually want to win. Not if they want to do this whole thing.
Well, in a place that, like, don't get me wrong, will prioritize him and keep him happy, but like will not abuse the entire system to cater to him.
Yes.
He should never have had that happen to him in the first place.
Yeah.
If he had gone straight from Monaco to Madrid or Manchester City as the immediate replace for Sergio Aguero or something.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola wouldn't have stood for half the shit that's going on that Mbappe now expects to happen for him.
Yeah.
So all it's done is created like 5 years of what's going to be a rude awakening for any other real club. Because PSG, you can say what you want. Maybe they're not a real fucking club. They don't act like it. They don't win like it. So it doesn't matter. Fuck them.
But one thing I kind of like is how Enrique is doing. In the event that he leaves and Enrique is doing this whole management system, I think they will be better off. And I'm pretty sure the next 2 years will be really good for them in terms of even international accolade on, because the club will be run. It will be a team club and not an individual club.
Yep.
So and he's doing that. So but just to say that PSG. Marseille had a lot of opportunities, to be honest. I don't know how they didn't put one in at least, man.
Yep.
They had 22 attempts to 8. They had 16 open play. They had 5 set pieces. How do you not score from that?
PSG have been conceding goals for fun this season,
and they didn't concede one against these guys.
Yeah.
You had my guy Faris Mumbanya. You got my guy the guy he used to play for Arsenal, the Gabonese guy. I keep forgetting his name. And these guys couldn't put a goal in to save their life. But
Aubameyang.
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
I forgot that he went to Marseille. Well, he
plays there now.
He missed a lot of goals for Arsenal as well. He played very well at Dortmund.
Yeah, he played very well at Dortmund. I think Dortmund was his best
by far. By far. Oh, and I forgot he played for Chelsea for like a season as well.
Yeah,
you forget these things when they don't play well.
Yeah, that was just a mess, man.
Yeah.
Man, let's go back to the Premier League.
The Premier League.
If you didn't watch the game, bro, like I said, I'm sorry for you.
You're a fucking idiot if you didn't watch these games.
Oh, man.
Every minute of the games.
Telling you, Liverpool, Brighton, that was a great game. At this point, I'm thinking Liverpool is playing all out because Klopp is leaving. Because the way they're playing, man, I'm telling you, since that announcement, they play like some crazy dog speed bulls that's on the field.
Even when they're not playing at their sharpest, they are working their asses off the entire time. That first half, I'll say that first like 25 or 30 minutes against Brighton, they didn't look excellent.
Mm-hmm.
They were really struggling to create chances, but it didn't stop them from running around like absolute maniacs trying to make it happen.
Saying.
And what a goal from Danny Welbeck. That was almost goal of the week. That little little one off the volley. That was a really good goal. Not much you can do against that. You think that Van Dijk could have been a little bit more present. You think that Wataru Endo could have been a little bit more on the press. But ultimately, who'd you say that the Ivory Coast kid is on the left wing? What's his name?
Adingra.
Yeah, he won. He was working his ass off as well.
Yeah.
And most of that Danny Welbeck goal, getting it back to Danny outside the box, was all that kid. He fried Connor Bradley on several occasions. McAllister is a really good midfielder, but pace has never been his strong suit, and he was having to pick up some slack on that wing as well. That kid looked really good, but what a strike from Danny Welbeck.
I think that kid, Adingra, as soon as he put up some size, watch out for him. He's coming for everyone because he plays very well. He is fast. He seems like he has good decision making.
Yes.
He's not just fast or relying on pace. But
that was the thing.
Yeah,
because like he's undeniably fast. Like you're watching him, and the first thing that you think is, "Holy cow, he's fast!" But when he starts holding up play, when he's dictating when to cut inside, when he's feeding the ball back into the midfield, you're like, "Oh wait, he's not just he's not just pace for sure."
Yeah, man, McAllister, bro, I'm telling you, what a midfield. I'm telling you, if I don't know, because if it's not because of the strikers, he would have been probably, if he's continue playing at this level to the end of the season, he probably would be a strong contender for the player of the season, because he's been balling. I'm talking about
he and Dominic Szoboszlai have been very good signings for Liverpool.
Yeah. And you know, I guess Klopp knows this. You know, when you're winning at this point, I guess he can do it. But Mark and Salah,
Mark and Salah.
They play very well. They played very well. The one thing I didn't like too much, Salah, he kept being wasteful. Although he scored, but he had so much opportunities that, man.
You know what though? I will say this, and someone might try to get mad at me or whatever. Like, because I'm not saying that he's not one of the best Premier League wingers in the last decade, because he has been.
Yeah.
Even when he was in his absolute prime, he was wasteful. He took a lot of chances for himself that he didn't need. For as many goals as he finished, there were tons of decisions where I thought he should have sent it back into Firmino, or he should have sent it over the top or back into the midfield. He's always been willing to take chances that don't go in his favor. However, now he doesn't have the same pace that he used to, and more importantly than that, he doesn't have a Firmino or a Mane up to give equal threat. You know, Nunez and Diaz are fine. They're not what that front three, that perfect front three was, which allowed Salah to be a little bit more expressive and selfish.
Yeah.
But also, those two took some of the pressure off of him as well, allowing him to get into spaces that now he can't, because all you have to do is lock down Salah, and Diaz and Nunez are just not as threatening.
For Diaz, as soon as Diaz finishing rate increases, as soon as he becomes more lethal, more precise, that his stock will go so much up.
Do you think that he will though?
I think he.
Or do you think this is him?
No, he's 27 too, but I think he can, in a sense, because when I watch Liverpool now, to be honest, I think especially this past games, Diaz has been all over the place. He has been, like, you can actually see, apart from McAllister, you see the work rate Diaz is putting in is more than everyone there.
Oh, he works hard. Yeah,
the only thing that is missing from him is finishing. He can't finish to save his life.
That pesky finishing. Unfortunately, we need our forwards to be good finishers.
That's what it is. So
unfortunately, that's very important for their position.
Yeah. So that's it. Let's go to Arsenal and see what they did. Man, there's not much to say about that. It's 0-0 Man City, and you know, one thing I would like, and I would say it's a great testament to Arsenal in a sense, keeping City 0 down to nothing, and that was interesting because, you know, this when teams like that play in this day and age, it's more of a, you call it a chess game. It's the battles of the mind. It's not really the battles of the club in the sense, the players in the sense, but the battles of the mind. The people on the sideline, the managers. That's who I'm talking about. The Pep Guardiola against Arteta. That's how it's been viewed. The teacher against the master. That's how it's been. The student against the teacher. That's how it's been viewed.
It was really funny because I watched this. I watched this in full, and I personally, and I realize that I'm the odd man out here. I enjoyed the match.
No, I enjoyed it.
Everyone said that it was extremely boring, as neutral fans, and I guess I could see that, but also it was a really good defensive show from Arsenal, and that was a situation in which you would have rather walked away with 1 point than give City 3, and they did that. And they were just willing to sit back and let City kind of tee off on them. They had a couple of good counters that could have led to something. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Jesus is not the best finisher in the world, but he gets himself in great positions to do so. That was a little frustrating. There was one particular counter in the first half where you have to think if a Victor Osimhen's up front that he closes that down.
Yeah, that one. They had one kind. I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the one thing I liked when they played City is just taking away spaces from City.
Yeah, man.
They kept Alan shut down.
This dude, Gabriel and Saliba really locked him down.
And coming back, I'm just saying this to say, you might say anything about my French man, but I'm telling you, if you lock down, Mbappe, there's other way for him to produce. If you lock down Haaland, there's nothing, because that's what he produces, goals.
He proved that last season as well. It's just that the other teams in the league hadn't figured out what to do with him yet. But you could still see that he was very one-dimensional in that way last season, even when he was breaking records. It seems like everyone's a little bit more understanding of how to close him down and how to keep him quiet. And even non-Big Six sides can now do a decent job at it. He's still putting in goals against them, don't get me wrong, but it does seem like he is more vulnerable than you think in terms of taking away the tools and assets that he has.
Yeah. So, Arsenal did a good job, to be honest. I felt like
it wasn't pretty, but it was important. It was necessary. Yeah.
Especially at this level of the competition.
Yeah.
I just wanted them to score a little bit more. And on the other side, what game did you that was the last game that we're gonna
Hell
talk
yeah.
about.
No one else mattered this weekend at all. I don't care who you were.
If you followed Premier League, they are now close. They're so close to each other. Aston Villa 59, City 64, 65 Arsenal, 67 Liverpool point. But this game, no one can afford to lose.
Yep.
Even the draw wasn't a thing, but at least if you're walking away with 1 point, you still have you still expect someone can lose a game for you to win.
Yeah.
And also, most of these teams are also bumping their goal difference, because if the points don't matter at the end of the season, at least goal difference will help differentiating who is the winner and who is not the winner.
Yeah.
And from the 4, 5, 6 teams, there's a lot of competition there, especially if you look their last fixtures. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City. I think they play Arsenal. They play Tottenham. That will count a lot. No, they're playing Aston Villa and they play Tottenham. I think the big three right now. I think that will count a lot and make sure.
I will say this: I don't think that Manchester United are in that conversation for the top.
No,
can do. Villa and Tottenham are really fighting for that last Champions League spot. I think that Manchester United are too far behind.
They're out.
However, they're 4 points behind. But United have a game in hand. You should be preparing very soon to state that you were wrong about your prediction with West Ham being top 6.
What I did?
You're pretty close to having to say I was wrong.
Oh,
you're pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was one of our first shorts that we ever put out, baby. I think that was week 2.
Yeah.
He's a West Ham top 6. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
Well, you never know. They
collapsed though, man. I mean, you were not wrong, or you were not illogical or crazy to assume that they could have. When I had my doubts, they weren't definite. You know what I mean? But we also didn't expect Villa to put the performances in that they have lately, and we didn't expect Newcastle to shit the bed as bad as they did.
Yeah,
so
I think
certain things have changed.
For Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, I think they will have to watch out for 2 teams in particular, because most of them are playing. Actually, Liverpool playing, because United is in such a weird space, right?
Yeah.
They could win next against Liverpool just for the force of winning.
Yep. Yeah.
And that then will put a dent in the whole thing.
I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Of they're not in competition for the league itself.
There's nothing to lose.
All they have is just spite.
Yes.
You motherfucker. That's all they have. But, and they seem like a club that can do that.
Yeah. But they all gotta watch out for Aston Villa, because Aston Villa they're in good, they play very well. Yeah. And they are all playing Aston Villa. In fact, City is playing Aston Villa, I think next week or the week after.
Yeah.
And Liverpool got United, they got Aston Villa, they got Tottenham too. They got to watch out, because since Tottenham is fighting for that 4th spot with Aston Villa, that's where the nuances will be.
Villa do have a really tough schedule though from now to the end of the season. Yeah, they play Manchester City, they play Arsenal, they play Chelsea, they play Liverpool, and they play Brighton at Brighton, which again, Brighton are not playing their absolute best lately.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's someone that you can't really overlook.
Well, that was it for the recap. So yeah,
that was nice.
Let's go to the player of the week.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's go ahead and just consolidate player of the week and goal of the week into one because they are the exact same thing.
That's true. Player of the week. Let's give a round of applause to this guy.
Rodrigo.
And his name is Rodrigo from Madrid. Played the whole game by himself, won the whole game by himself, and guess what? Scored the 2 goals.
Hell of a goal. That first goal was unreal. Man, that goal is playing right here.
Yeah. Oh, the higher? Now I'm telling you, this guy just went there. Hey, if I'm the defender looking at the guy, I'm not letting him shoot. I already know. He's pausing. Every time a striker does that little pause and just adjust the leg, he's gonna finesse.
Well, let's just talk about this really quick. We don't need to get into too much of a detail of it, but like Rodrigo, both of those goals were from him playing on the left-hand side.
For real?
yeah. His right foot. I mean, because he's usually if they're doing a 3-man front, he's on right wing. If they're doing a 2-man front, he's the right forward. You know, and like. He has a decent left foot, but it looks like this kid is like he's more reliable on his right foot than Vinicius Jr. is, and I'm not saying that he should start week in, week out over Vinicius Jr., but it looks like he has a little bit more lethal of a strike coming in from that left-hand side when he cuts inside.
Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys very much. Go subscribe, man. Go in there.
Hit that bell, bitch.
Hit the notification bell.
Ring it.
From YouTube. Go on our TikTok, go on our Instagram, go on our Twitter, and just go comment, post, and do what you gotta do, baby. Just go in there, subscribe,
do what you have to do, and then do what is expected of you, and even go beyond and say do what is more than expected of you.
We love you guys. We're trying to build a community.
You're all right. Hold on.
If you like soccer or football,
I don't love you yet, but you're all right. I'll love you more when you hit that goddamn bell, when you give us a Spotify star review.
Yeah.
When you like, share, and subscribe every video that we put out.
Yes, sir.
Which I know is a daunting task, but you know what? I believe in you. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of people in your life haven't done that for you, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
But fucking subscribe.
Yeah, go and do it. Go and do it. And on that, we let you go. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.